Okay, so now we are live in this movie. So today I would like to do hands-on. We're going to build a small application, and I would like you to do it together with me. I have some idea what this application will look like, but I don't know what it will look like at the end of the day, because we're all going to provide input and ideas on how to do this. So, this is what we are going to do today, or what we're going to learn, or what we will learn the hands-on. So we're going to use a JSON file, or actually I've prepared a JSON file. I've prepared, this exercise is based, or this hands-on is based on the homework assignment that I said, well, let's not do that one, because it doesn't work. So we're going to do that together today. And I've taken data from the website, which provides information about movies. So I've collected data about 11 movies, stuffed that into a JSON file, and that's what we're going to use today to work with. We're going to build a small web application that displays this information. And we need to figure out how we want to display that information, what elements of that information we want to display. There are lots of things, and we'll see that later. And we'll try and the things that I have here in this list, like good afternoon, like making an IFI, making an AJAX request, look at the callback, using various forms of for loops. I know you guys are sometimes struggling with the for loop. So let's look at that. There are various forms of doing that. We're going to create some DOM elements. I think you had a question about DOM elements, how you do that. And we're going to do that today, but I will also mention that in the follow-on modules, you'll use other tools to do that. And those tools will create DOM elements under the hood, but you don't have to do it, let's say, in such a low-level manner. You have nice ways of creating that, and those packages like I'm talking about React, which you will learn later in the course. We'll do that under the hood, but it's nice to have an understanding what will happen under the hood when you use tools like that. So that's why you do it today, but you're probably not going to do it anymore later in the course. Then I think we can try some array functions in this application, like filtering or sorting the list of movies in a particular way, and we can discuss together how we want to do that. Then probably as our code gets a bit more complex, we're going to see how we can make it nicer to read. So we're not then going to change the functionality, but we're going to reorganize the code so that it reads nicer if you read it again. Because remember, when you write code, the computer doesn't really mind how you format your code or what variable names you choose. But when you or your colleague reads the code, you want to read it as a human, so it must also be human readable. I sometimes joke to Hassan, hey, I want your code to look like a poem.
Yes.
I want beauty in your code.
I learned it from you. Yeah.
So and that's often also called clean code.
Yes.
So it's often that code is more read by humans than by computer. So that's why I'm also nitpicking in your homework. Don't make spelling mistakes. We have nice tools to help you correct spelling mistakes. Make sure that your indentation is right, because you as a human and your colleague, or you, when you come back to your own code in a year's time, must still be able to understand the code. And if your code is sloppy, then it makes it difficult for yourself to understand, hey, what the hell did I do this a year ago?
It will happen a lot.
Yeah? So I'm very stressing on make your code clean, make your code nice to read, make it a pleasure to read. Computer doesn't mind, it will execute it anyway.
Yeah.
So we're going to refactor our code as it gets more complex, and we're also going to look at a node application we're going to use that same movie data and also look at how we can manipulate it in Node. And this is also just a peek, because actually you'll get a complete Node course. But just to show you that what that amounts to. So what I all want you to do. So we've already established that you all have Git, we all have Node, we have VS Code. I want to check with you. Do you have you installed ESLint? Do you know what it is?
I had some troubles installing it.
Yeah. So
Installing what?
ESLint. So
ESLint.
ESLint. It's the command to install is over there. npm install -g ESLint. ESLint is a code checker. It checks your code. Yeah. Okay. Can you guys, if you don't have ESLint, can you run this command and see if it works?
What is the repository name? HYF Movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just the ESLint command, right? This one. Number 4. So just go to your terminal, yeah? Yeah.
Let's throw the same thing.
Oh, you can do that too, but you can type it here as well. And when it's not ready, is it ready? Because it's probably PC is a bit slow.
Yeah. I just
You need to have
start
prompts.
using the VS Code. You need to run this using the VS Code.
No, you can also run it in a terminal. You can run it in a terminal or a command window. Oh, it's there. So, well, that's the prompt. It's not there yet. Let's see. Okay, Git bash. I don't use Windows.
Oh no, it's working. Okay.
Not yet. It's really slow. It's really slow.
And it gives me some errors.
Where's the error? Missing write access. And what do you have? This is a Windows machine. Okay, then you have to type sudo if it's a Linux machine. So sudo and then the command. No, just install. So line number 4.
كان كتير صعب. لازم أعيد الرياضيات. نجحت بالباقي بس بالرياضيات لازم أعيدها. صعب كتير.
واو. يلا منيح تقريبا انا مشيت الانجليزي والهولندي
بس إنه شو اسمه في عندي وقت لحتى أحضر.
Everybody has this now?
Yes.
Okay, I will come back to that later. So what I want you to do is I want you now to open a terminal window or a command window in Windows, and then change directly to wherever you store your project folders. So in my case, I have a folder HYF Future. I don't know where you guys install it.
Yeah, but can we work with Git bash?
Yes, you can work with Git bash. Sorry, sorry. On Windows, you need to use Git bash.
In order to use Git.
Yeah, because we're going to use Git.
Yeah.
Also, we can use the terminal of the VS Code.
Sorry, what kind of?
We can use the terminal of the VS Code.
Also. Yes.
It's okay also. It's okay.
Yeah,
it depends on how you install the Git, because
yes.
if you install it so that you can only use the Git bash, then you can only use the Git bash. But do you have a Windows machine or?
Windows.
Okay, then probably, well, you can try it. If it doesn't work, then you need to use git bash.
Well, you go to the terminal of the VS Code and then you just type git dash
So you want me to
V,
create a
which
new
is version,
folder with the name
and
with
if it appears to you,
HYF
then you can use
Movies?
No, no. You go to the folder where you want this new folder. We're going to create a new folder where you want this new folder to be created. Because the second command, the git command, will create that folder for you. It will create a folder HYF Movies.
Ah, okay. It's
Yeah?
clone.
Yeah.
Can I go to the steps?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
If you are in the folder where you want this to
Yeah, I
be,
am in the
then
folder.
you can use these commands.
I'm getting error.
Okay, let's do edge error. And what is the error? Let's see. You have internet, an internet connection? Okay. What is that? HTTPS. GitHub.com. You're missing the .com. GitHub.com. Sorry guys. This should be github.com.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
You can edit it from here currently, like just only temporarily. If you go up,
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So
Just
edit.
yeah.
No, edits this. I need to go actually to the file and then edit.
yeah, the pen,
Here, edit. And then
just add. Down, yeah.
yeah. GitHub.com. Oh. And then where do I save? Commit changes. Okay. Updated. Okay. Good. Okay, there we are. Okay. So this is all from the command window or the git bash terminal window. I'm sorry, you need to change the project for the old folder, right? So replace here this project folder just with your own folder. You're not type this literally. Replace it with your own folder.
What's a mean snapshot of the database? Can you explain to me? No.
What's your question, sorry? Okay, yeah, that's the server that we're using. I'll come back on it later if you don't.
Okay, don't worry.
We're not actually. This is just a server that we're going to use.
He's giving me that the repository is not shown.
Wrong in the URL.
Yeah. It's my name in reverse, Jim Kramer, and then reverse.
Jim. Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Oh, no, that's not that's good.
Are we all there? Or
Yes.
so we should all now have in your command window or in your git bash. You should have something. Oh, I should actually do it myself. I'll do it myself too.
Yes, you have it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say,
I got an error. Sorry.
okay.
No such file or the directory.
So
Can did you do npm install?
git clone https github.com
Can you see
/remark mij dot git.
you have to go
That's me.
to the
What am I doing wrong here? Git clone, GitHub. Yeah, sorry.
or just
HYF Movies dot git.
and then npm start.
Change directory to
If you go to
HYF
this,
Movies
like 30, then you will get
npm install.
page. Yeah, because you did on the URL if you go there instead of
So this is the screen that you sort of should have now in the command window.
Yeah, but this is the server and this is all the JSON file I think Jim has created.
So we're not going to, we're going to let this run in the background.
You can go just
Now, yeah. So now let's go to the. So we just copied, we just cloned a GitHub repository. So you learned about GitHub last week, and you created, I think, my first Git repository. Now we have cloned a Git repository that I've created on my own GitHub account, and that's what you currently cloned. And so cloning means that you copy the files from the repository by using this git clone command. You actually, the word clone, you can copy. And so we now have a local copy of that code on your computer in the directory HYF Movies. So I want you now to go to that directory with the file manager or equivalent in whatever the computer you're using. On the Mac it's called Finder. In Windows I think it's called now File Explorer. And Linux I don't know, Nautilus or something.
Nautilus.
So on my computer
We found
you go to HYF Movies, the folder that was just created. And if you double click the index.html file, it opens in the browser. And in my case, it displays this, HYF Movies. Yeah. I now want you to open the Chrome Inspector. And you can do that like this. There's also a keyboard shortcut command, but you can also do it like this. So you press on these three dots, and then you go to More Tools and Developer Tools.
in Windows it's Control-Shift-O.
Okay.
Or F12 also.
And when you've done that, I would like you to refresh here the browser, reload. And then you can see here in this tab, this is actually what is happening on the network. You see it, the browser gets the index.html file, it gets the style.css, it gets...
But why I have the XHR file with the error?
error.
Error? What?
Do you have an error?
404. Can you just you are pausing the yes? Refresh. Where did you paste the breakpoint?
No, I didn't.
Yes. Can you click on the movies?
I left this thing. I don't know.
No, the movies file.
Is this server still running?
Yeah.
Where is it? In the Git bash. Can you go to the Git bash? Yeah. Can you type here in your browser HTTP. So in the address bar. So replace this.
So replace this.
Yeah, HTTP, and then localhost.
Ah, okay. HTTP
Yeah.
localhost.
Localhost,
Slash movies. I think.
and then
Okay.
and at the end of this colon, 3 and then 3000. Sorry, no, not the word colon. It's a double punt colon.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Here. Here, like this.
Yeah, but without the slash before it. Remove the slash.
Okay.
Yeah, and then 3000,
Ah, okay. Post.
and then slash movies. No, not dash. Slash movies.
Enter.
Yeah.
Ah.
Hello, Angular.
I'm working with Angular. So.
Do you have something else running here?
Yeah, I had Angular. Yeah, I was working.
Oh,
with,
okay. Close that one down.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's interfering.
Ah,
That's
yeah.
probably
Sorry,
the
sorry.
issue.
Yeah, sorry.
Everything.
Okay. Yeah, no.
Yeah? Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Now, if you click on movies here in this network tab, you can sort of make it a bit bigger and that whole inspector window like I have here. If you click on that, you'll see here in the preview, you see a lot of information that comes from this server that we're running in the back. Yeah, we're running a small server on your own computer, yeah, and we are accessing that server via this application that we're going to write. And you see, we have here information about 11 movies. Yeah, some of you, or one of you, gave me some information about
Nice movies.
nice movies that I have never heard of.
Hangover.
So all the other movies are sort of classics that I know from the past, like Passage to India and
Oh.
Annie Hall and Woody Allen films. I love Woody Allen. Lawrence of Arabia. So we have 11 movies, and we're going to use information about those movies to see what we can display about them and how we can manipulate them. So
See if you can display them where in the browser.
yeah, in the browser, we're going to create a web application so we display the information in the browser.
In the page.
In the
your
page.
HTML page.
Yeah. But how? We have to decide between ourselves. Yeah. And so I'm going to expand one of the things. Then you can look what type of information we have available. So we have something about actors, awards, box office, country, blah 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 blah, genre, the
Language.
plot, language, the rating, the release date. We have a lot of information. So let's see what we want to do with this.
And here we had in rating also another object, yeah?
Yeah, so if you click on that one, you can expand it by clicking on the triangle.
Yeah.
You see, okay, there are
Source and library. Okay.
so there are
Okay.
3 rating sites apparently, and you can get the ratings from those 3 sites.
Okay.
So going back to what did we
Do they
do?
know what is JSON actually?
No, but let's dive into that. Let's dive into that. So we did all this. So let's start VS Code. Open the HYF Movies folder and let's start going.
Yes, open VS Code.
VS Code.
Go ahead.
And
Let's hack.
let's hack. Let's hack your future.
Let's hack our future.
I'm going to do that too. So I'm going to, welcome HYF Movies. I think I'll open it again. So open folder. And in my case, it's called HYF Movies.
To open the folder that we just installed.
Yeah, that folder is called HYF Movies. So you open that folder in VS Code.
If you just read this code, you will have a headache. Just avoid it.
No, I'm not working. I'm
For
working
later,
on
for
this.
later.
I'm working on this.
Are you working ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. We were not doing Angular, right? We're doing React in the course.
Yeah, I know.
Which is like unfortunate.
No, I think it's better than Angular. It's,
No, not at all.
No, all the
He did
people-
Angular, so
No,
he's
actually,
biased.
I think all the people they said React is better than, not better, easier than Angular.
Well,
Easier?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Well, what you can do with React, you can do differently with JavaScript.
well, let's not get into this discussion.
Later.
Yeah.
I will need to learn later.
So, are we all there in VS Code now? So let's just review what we have here. So we have this index.html file. Now you guys know all about HTML. So this is a very basic HTML file. It just has a head section, a body section, and then I've put in there some fixed HTML, and just with the King's Speech. That's another movie that I like. And I'm not an HTML hero, so this is fairly simple. You guys have done a full course on HTML and CSS, so you are far more advanced, I guess, than I am on this subject. But what we will do is we will stuff the information about the movies into this unordered list. But we do that via a program that we're going to expand on. So not hard-coded, because we don't know, when we get the data from the server, it could be any data, right? So we need to dynamically create HTML elements in a code and insert them into what is called the DOM, the document object module. Yeah. So we'll do that. Let's also have a quick look at styles.css. That one is easy because it's empty. Yeah. And let's look now at the fun part. Let's look also at movies.json. I'll open that one. And that one is actually the data that our small server uses. So our small server reads this JSON data, and JSON is just a text file. And JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Yeah, but it's basically just a text file. Which can easily be converted to a JavaScript object. And the advantage of JSON is that because it's just text, you can easily send it over the network. Mm-hmm. It's just a string, a large string. Yeah. So this is, it looks like sort of a JavaScript object, and that's why the name JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. But it is just text. And this is what our server has read, and what you get when you access this endpoint, what we did, localhost, well, you did it, localhost 3000, whatever, that sits behind it. So now let's look at the client.js file, because if we look at index.html, we're loading here the script at the end, client.js. So that's where our application sits. Now, this is a very small JavaScript file, but it needs a lot of explanation, I think, because it uses some new things for you. So the first thing to explain, I think, is what we call an IFI. You had a question during the Hangout about IFI. So IFI stands for immediately invoked function expression. And what do we mean by that? In this case, it's line 1 and line 27 that comprise the IFI. Now let's remove this. I'm going to remove the IFI. So effectively now the IFI is gone. So this is the code that you are probably used to, in the sense that you have functions at the global level and you run them. If we now use this code and we go to the browser, here in the HYF Movies, And I'm going to refresh this because I changed some code, so I need to load the changed code. And now let's go to sources. Yeah, and we're going to look in the browser at our code. So our code is client.js. I'm going to open it, and I'm going to make this a bit smaller. And I'm going to put a breakpoint here on line 25. Yeah, so I click here on the margin on line 25.
Sorry, we have to go to the client.js.
Client.js.
And then,
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then you see the source code.
okay, yeah.
You see that? And then we go to, which line did I say? 25?
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, 25. So I've now placed a breakpoint at line 25. And I'm going to refresh the page. So the code runs again. See, and it has now stopped at line 25. Now I'm going to look here in this scope tab here. I'm going to expand global. And I'm going to look for my two functions. So my functions are called load movies,
Yeah.
or and handle movies. So they should be somewhere in here. So it's probably sorted by alphabet.
Yeah, so they are global because they are
Yeah.
not.
See, handle movies. That's one of my functions. And the other one was it? Load movies. Load movies, that is. So it's very crowded in this global scope. And if I were to name my function, for instance, let's say get selection, then I probably have a conflict with what's already there in the global space. So you don't want to be in that global space with your own code. You don't want to share that because you don't know. There's a high chance that you will run into a conflict with other programs like the browser itself that is also sharing that global space. So you know about that functions have their own scope. And that's why we use a function like this here in VS Code to create this local scope. So the only purpose of this IFI here is to provide a local scope so that we don't share our the scope with this global scope.
But I have a question here. We have already coded with JavaScript, and this is the first time that we consider
Exactly.
matching the names.
Exactly.
Why did we do that now and not before?
Because you are now more advanced in the course. I mean, we start simple and then we get more sophisticated. That's the idea. It's probably now that you also have the background to understand why we do this. And we're doing this here now, but in the other, in follow-on courses, React, Node, we don't need to do this anymore. This is sort of like old-style JavaScript programming. And we have to start from the basis, but later we don't need this anymore, like this. But for now we use it, and let's see how this changes our code. What happens if we now run this code again in the browser? So I'm going to reload. And if I now look, see, I have a local scope now, with only my stuff in here. Handle movies, load movies, and this, I will come back to this later. And so it's not in the global scope, and I don't need to prove it to you, but I'm sure you will take it from me that handle movies and load movies is now in the local scope here and not anymore in the global scope. So that's the IFI.
So you just make a wrapper on your functions. When you make your own scope to don't make conflicts with the other objects out there, such as windows or documents.
So immediately invoked function expression. So what's the function expression? That's this function here. So it's this part and this part.
And you've put in the function in parentheses also.
Yeah. So because if I don't start with a parenthesis, then it then will be a function statement.
Yeah.
It's not an expression. I make it so by put it in parentheses, it becomes an expression. And here, those last two things means I'm executing the function immediately. That's the immediate part of it. Okay, now let's look at the rest of the code. This function load movies is actually what is making the request to the server to get data, to load the movies, get me the movies. So, and this is what you call an AJAX request. An AJAX stands for, what is it, asynchronous JavaScript and XML, so something like that. And it's called an XML HTTP request. So this is XML HTTP request is a function from the browser. It's built into the browser, and we're calling that here. And this is the address, the HTTP localhost 3000/movies is the URL that we're using to fetch information from our backend server, which is running somewhere in our terminal window. Yeah, and we make that request, but the server will need time to respond. So, and this is where we need to use a so-called callback. So what we do is we say to the server, please give it to us and tell us when you're ready, when we have the data ready. And that happens here when we say on ready state. That's a property of this XML HTTP request object. We are giving it a function which we defined here, process request, which gets called as soon as the data is ready for us.
So with that JSON, the CB, the data JSON file that we will get from the server,
yeah,
we make it like object with the parser, JSON parser. We convert it to object.
Exactly.
And later we said when it's get ready, process the request, and the process request, where is the?
So.
Let me see, where is?
So here we making the open and we say use the get command or method to get the data. There are, and you'll learn that later in Node. There are I think 4 or 5 different types you can use, but to just get information you use the get method. And we specify the request URL, so from which URL do you want to get information? And I can't remember what the 2 stands for. We have to look it up in the documentation. And then we are sending that request out, and we say when the request is finished, call our function process request. Yeah, because it can take some time. Network can be slow, so it will take some time. So when the data is ready.
I know why this true stands for. So true, usually when you say xhr.open, so for other methods such as patch or post, then the third parameter will be the options that you send to the to the request that you are sending. But in this case, if you don't, or actually the send, you should also pass no.
Okay, let's forget about it. I mean,
but that comes later. It's not so important.
I'm explaining this here. This XML HTTP request, and that's always used under the hood. But later, when you do the Node course, in the React course, you're not going to use this anymore. It's going to be done somewhere under the hood, but you use other functions for that. But the important thing is that we can access information from the server and then start to work with it. So,
sorry, but where exactly did the code or the request will take time to process the information and give us the result of it?
Yeah.
And which line in 17? Line 17?
And let's see, line 17. Yeah. So we are saying to this XML HTTP request object, when something is happening, and when you get some response, then call our function process request. So we said we've assigned the process request function to this property, so that this function, process request, which starts in line 5, is called as soon as something has changed in handling the request.
but the code will continue executing even if the information will, didn't came back, the request.
Yeah. So let's put a console log in here, and we say request has been sent out. Yeah, and then here we say console log request has been request
Sending.
fulfilled.
Received.
Fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when it's ready. So okay, let's give this a try. I'm going to remove the breakpoint now and rerun this. And look at the console. And I get an error message. See? So let's see what the error message is. Syntax error. Unexpected add on JSON. So what did I screw up?
No, actually, you have your console log printed out, but you have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was old stuff.
Yeah.
See? So, and if your network is slow or the server is slow, it can take perhaps several seconds before you actually get data. In this case, it's very fast. It's on your own computer, so you get it immediately, almost immediately. Yeah.
So the already change property on the XHR object is just event listener on that object. When something changed, it calls your callback that you passed to it. That is like now on the line 19, I guess, process request.
So the execution of the function halts until.
No, actually, well, it doesn't halt. You can do other things while you are waiting for the request to be fulfilled. You could be doing other things in your program.
But in this specific program,
Yeah.
we can see that there is nothing to do until there's.
Yeah.
We call only
Yeah,
one.
but you could potentially be doing other things.
Yeah, sure.
You could be calculating prime numbers or whatever. Huh?
Yeah, maybe doing some animation. Of this.
Well, perhaps, yeah. Okay, let me just get rid of the console logs because we know that now. And you can, now that you sort of have been exposed to this, read up on this later. And I mean, you're going home with this finished application, right? So you can experiment with this at home and play with it.
And what you mean with for?
With for?
Ready state before.
Ready state.
Oh, ready state, right. Let me just, well, you get this process of sending out the request goes in stages.
Yes.
And if we look, let's look at the documentation for HYF request.
From 0.
It starts
Yeah.
from 1, 2,
MDN.
4. And actually, in the
HTTP
when it returns number 3, it's finished. But 4, like it's guaranteed. It's
Okay, so here on ready state change. Yeah, you can probably see it here.
Each number has own value.
Yeah, oh, no, not here. Let's see. So constructed, what does it say? No such problem.
Actually, one is the request is sent.
Okay, you know it already.
Yeah, and 2,
Yeah.
it's the information is processed. 3 is getting back, and 4 is.
I don't need to look it up because you have an expert here already. So, but with 4 it's ready, right?
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
About the listener, the unready state changes.
Yeah.
It's a listener for or triggers something, trigger the function to execute. Is it the only listener that we used already state changes, or it specify we decide upon something, some specifications?
Now this is the one that we need to, when we want to be notified when the data is ready, we need to use this on ready state change. And we need to look for the ready state 4, yeah, because then the data is ready.
So it's linked by which condition we checked for in the function itself into ready state. So the listener also was on the ready state, right? Am I getting it right?
Yeah. So here on ready state.
And
So
then we check about the ready state and the function we attach to the listener.
yeah, because here this XHR is the XML HTTP request object, and that has a property ready state, and that we can expect. So the XML HTTP request object changes the ready state property for each stage. And when it's the ready state, so when we are called and the XML HTTP request object or function has changed ready state to 4, then we know the data is ready. And what we're not doing here, and in practice you should do that, is to also look for potential errors that could be happening, like network down or whatever. We're not doing that here, but in a real-life program, you should do that as well. Yeah. Check for errors. Now,
The request is not being stored.
so when we know when ready state is 4 that the data is ready, but that data is still a text string. Yeah, it's the JSON data. So we need to actually convert it to a JavaScript object, and that's where we use the JSON.parse for. So that takes JSON and it converts it to a JSON object, and then we call this function callback.
It's callback, it's a function.
It's a function. CB is a function.
CB doesn't
Yeah, and
exist.
it's this parameter, and you sort of did that already in some exercises. You call the function and pass another function as its argument.
Yeah, but is this a predefined function, or did you create it yourself?
We create it ourselves because look here. Where do we do that? We say here load movies, and we're passing the handle movies function as its argument. So callback is actually handle movies.
Yeah, just
It should be more clear. I have some examples also.
Is this clear or
I'll see where we do that.
so in line 25? In line 25, we call load movies. Yeah, and we give it an argument, handle movies, and handle movies is a function. So that's our callback. Clear for everyone?
Nobody say anything.
It's awfully.
What did it mean for this?
I want to hear. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have an idea, Hassan, how to make
Yes.
this more clear?
Yeah, I can tell something maybe. So the callbacks is nothing, just a function, just like object like in JavaScript functions, and you can just call them and pass parameters to them, right? And the callbacks are used only for asynchronous programming. For example, so now we are sending this request, and we don't know when the movies will be retrieved, right? So therefore, we have to pass sort of factory for it or something to notify us that it's finished. And if you look at the line 6, we have the CP, he's calling it once the ready statement or the ready state is 4, right? So that means the callback is just a function, you call it just to be notified later on time, because it will not be invoked in the right away.
So it's a recursive function.
Not a recursive function. It just you pass it to be running later. So to run later, because the console.log on line 22, it won't be called unless the line number 6 will be executed.
Yeah.
There where you are calling this function, which is handle movies, actually.
I'm going to make this a bit easier for you. I'm going to do it like this. Let movies equals an empty array. And here I'm going to say movies equal like this. I'm going to remove the callback. I'm going to add a semicolon, and then I'm going to comment out this, and I'm just going to say load movies. Why do I get an error there? I don't know. Load movies.
You have extra.
Oh yeah, it's an extra. Yeah.
Yeah, this one should.
See, this is ESLint helping me. That's why I want you to use ESLint, because you can almost immediately see, hey, there's an error here. So if I, yeah. So now, so I've removed the callback, and we're not actually doing something here. Oh, I'll do load movies, and now I'm going to say console log. In fact, no, I should load movie. What am I doing here?
Why?
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
So why you did that?
Yeah. No, I'm going to, now here, I'm going to undo my changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using a git function for this because I did this stupid thing. I need to call back.
For the callbacks, you need.
I need to call back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
No,
I have some easy
okay.
examples.
Good. Now the important thing now here, because there's where the fun starts, we now have in line 22, in this function, we have the movies available to us. And now we need to do something with it. We need to create something in the in HTML. So I'm going to open up the HTML file, and this is handy in VS Code. I'm going to open it up to the side. So you have two windows now open. So I can look at HTML.
Fancy, huh?
And I can look at the JavaScript file. So can you guys do that?
Can I ask a question before we go ahead with the HTML?
Yeah.
The file app.js.
Okay. Yeah, that's the Node application. We're going to look at that separately.
Because I think it's really important to understand the whole process, how the server retrieve the, and how is the process with everything.
Okay, we're not going to look at the server because that's really just for us to be able to. And the app.js is a Node application, and that we will look at later. It's unrelated to what we're doing here with the web application. So. You see, we have this this unordered list. So, do you guys have this second window open? Can you do that? So you click on the file name in the left, and you say "open to the side," and then it opens the second file to the side.
So now we have hard-coded.
We have hard-coded one movie, and actually let's remove that one. Yeah, so let's remove it. So, and it's in the list item as well. So we just have an empty, unordered list with an ID of movies. So I'm going to show you, if we look at the JSON file, I'll just bring that up briefly. What is it? The movies.change. Yeah. So we know that we have a title here. So we have a title property. So let's just display the title property in our HTML. And then we'll think of how we are going to make it more fancy, but let's just make a list item and display the title.
So we have an array of objects, and each object has a property called title.
And title with an uppercase T. Yeah. So let's.
have to put it in for loop.
Yes.
Yes, let's do that. We're going to use a for loop. So, for, I'm going to use let. I'm not so fond of for. And let's use modern JavaScript. And let's call it I. And we say I. We know movies is an array. Or if you don't know, I'm telling you, it's an array.
But you should say I equals 0, maybe.
Sorry, yeah. You know, I don't use these forms.
Yeah, I know, it's old-fashioned. But
it's old-fashioned, but let's do it. Let's start with the old-fashioned way. See, I can even type it right. Movies.length. And then I plus or I plus is 1. This is perhaps I plus. You often see I plus. So let's do that. So that's incrementing I by 1. Well, actually, let's just first console log the titles before we start.
Yes, that's better.
Yeah? I'm going to do. So I need to know. So let's say const movie equals movies. I. Yeah. And then we're going to console log movie. Oops. Movie. Are you following along?
You know what's happening now, guys?
So we have this array of movie with a length, and I know it's there are 11 movies in that array, so the length will probably be 11. So we're going to list those 11 titles. We're going to move.
11 movies.
11 movies.
We have 11 movies, but we need to say we want to display the title. We
Title
had-
dot here. We can give it
yeah, you can do it like this.
title,
Yeah, or
or we can give it the length, the
or
index of that. Because we know
Not the
this is
index.
the
yeah, but
Yeah.
we did this intermediate step of storing the movie into this movie variable.
Yeah.
And sometimes that helps to make it more clear. Use intermediate variables to state your intention more clearly. Remember the clean code, the poem? Yeah. Okay, so let's run this. This is our code, right? Let's go to the console. We're already in the console. And if we now rerun this, we get all the titles.
Yeah.
Yeah? That's what we expected.
We need to print it
So is it clear
So
how
show
this
it
for loop working, guys?
in HTML.
I see silence. I don't hear anything.
This should be this should be clear. Otherwise, before we continue, this should be clear
Yes, exactly.
what we're doing.
If you have
for the HTML, I didn't.
In the HTML, you will not get anything because till
Yeah,
now you just
only should see it.
no.
Yeah, in the console.
In the console, yes.
But did you do the refresh? You need the refresh, right?
Not your, why you are not doing
No, I will
Your fault.
no.
That's better.
I can
هو الأحسن إن الواحد ما ينسح وينسح.
No, I can do it.
Read out your browser. Yeah.
Clear? No? More clear? Okay. كويس.
Can you go to your code?
لا بس اليوم ما في طلب من حتى تفهموا الكول باكس واللوبس صدقني.
And you follow. You see, I think. Are you happy? You have this? And do you have a curly brace at the end of the follow? I can't see it. Perhaps it's no at the end of the parentheses there. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. So that's because we have movie. That should be movie, not movies. No, that one is movies. That one is movies. Yeah. That one was correct.
That one is
Yeah. So movies.
and this one is movie.
So you get the ith element
Well, that's good.
of the movie array. Yeah.
عندك إياها أنت خالص؟ كويس.
Movies is an array, and movie is one element of that array. Yeah. So can you run it and does it run okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does everybody have this list in the console?
No?
You have it?
You have it? Yeah.
We calling
Don't use the
call as the movies with object
No, you call it.
and
You should call it.
So
Yeah, it's element. So
You said
it's
array.
an array. It's not an array. It's an object.
no, it's an well, you can do this. This is
Yes.
It's an array actually. Yes.
No, it's an array.
An array.
An array of that's right. It's an array of objects.
Returns object. Or maybe there's a
Are we all there? We have a list.
object.
and actually this is what I see because
Do you have
try to
it?
look at the movies.
You have it all?
Yes. what you are parsing actually. You are parsing the array, not the object. Because you are passing it.
So we made it all from the beginning as an array inside a lot of options.
And why we are doing an array? Because an array can store several objects in it, and it's easier to move it as an array.
It's an array of objects.
We removed this parentheses.
And you have because you have a property.
Object doesn't have
No, incremental index.
No, you can't do that.
I'm using item index. So first, it's called the subset. So first you get movies at index 0.
And now you will get an error if you do this.
And then in iteration, the next iteration is 1. So you get movies.
Because now you are assigning the numbers for all of this. Well, actually, just have to then you have to. No, you don't have it. Yeah, because now you have objects, and you should also say each property of it. So why I say that you
only control them at the time.
you have 11 ones, so you don't have to.
Only displaying now the title.
This one also.
We have the movies are we do it.
Do this. But before you go, yes, this also works. This works.
Extract this information from the range without using any extra
Remove that. Comment out.
Well, it's just converting an object to an array.
And then say movies. I. And then
Well, you have to understand something. JavaScript because everything in JavaScript is an
I'm using this extra variable.
No,
Just
but
to make
it's
it more
converted
readable.
to an array.
It's not strictly necessary. Yeah. Well, I thought I could have solved movie X from and it doesn't mind. It looks the same for us. For humans, we like to.
Is this advanced way or not? If I think about the code, I'm thinking in a good way.
It's okay. You say okay.
Yeah, lots of people.
But now if you look at the object, we have
When I go straight, I like to be explicit.
why? Because it's an object
Make it
that has some
small.
it has industrial structure.
Yeah. So because I'm considering this
Yeah. You see, objects, arrays, the JavaScript is complex, but if you understand it, you can do massive things. For example,
you have to wait. You have to wait. Way in between and efficiency. So I wouldn't mind if we did JSON. If you want to make it simpler, more readable, sometimes introduce a new variable. I have experience development as well. And I'll show you for next course.
So what do you get? What do you expect?
Yeah, you could.
Because it has no objects. But what if we
we all have console log, right? And you all understand this for loop?
For me, I was
Yeah?
I understand.
No?
Yeah, I understand. I just,
So I actually don't use a for loop like this. There is another way of looping through this, and that's, I'm going to show you that now. And I'm going to do it like this. Let movie of movies. And I don't now need this line here. I'm going to remove it. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't understand.
You don't?
No, I understand, but can you explain?
Actually, I can even make this const. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what are we doing here?
Yeah, here because JavaScript will not continue through the for if the array is finished, right? That's why you don't write, for example, I++.
Yeah.
Because if it finished the array, then that JavaScript will end execution the for loop and go through.
But what is off?
Okay. So what we're doing here is called iteration. Yeah, iterate. So we iterate through the movies array. So we say, take the. Sorry, we need to. Hassan, are you explaining something? Because let's. Yeah. So this is already a loop I like more. But even I don't use this loop like this. But it's a newer construct in JavaScript. You didn't have this in older versions of JavaScript, but we have this now, and we can directly access a movie one at a time. So this for loop loops, and it takes the first movie, then the second one, and then it loops for every movie. It loops through this.
It's more readable, actually.
It's more readable. We don't have to use this index variable, and the simpler it is, that the less chance we have of making errors. So this is already something that is easy.
Can we replace const by late?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I prefer. Sorry. Yeah. No problem. If it.
But you have already used const. Is it okay to use const in some areas in your code and let in other areas?
Yeah, I'm only using const when I know for sure that I will never want to change the assignment of that variable. Yeah. Then I use const.
Constant.
Because I'm then protecting myself against errors. Because if I know I shouldn't change this, then JavaScript, please help me, tell me if I change this, because it will produce an error.
Have we ever thought about the difference between late var and const?
I'm not sure, because I was not in all your classes, of course. But var is sort of the legacy, the old style JavaScript way of defining a variable. In the newer JavaScripts, you can use let and const. But if you could look in books and things, in your the book that you got from HYF, you always see var. And if you look on the internet, you always see, or mostly see var, because that was the old way of doing this. Yeah? But in my own programs that I write now, I avoid the use of var. I'm only using let and const. And I encourage you to do the same, but you have to know about var too, because you will come across that in whatever.
Some scoping issues you can learn about.
Yeah.
Here we can say it's for off.
Yeah, you also have a for in, and but I would advise you not to use for in, that you use that on objects. You can't use that on arrays. For off, for off is for arrays.
And it's basically, I think it's only for pre-indexed objects, the objects that have an index already.
No, it's not for objects, it's for arrays. It's for arrays.
I'm talking in general as arrays is basically an object.
Well, then you're making it confusing for yourself.
In arrays, we have an index already within an array. So it knows itself that it has a...
An array has an index, but an array also has an order, like the first one, the first element, the second element.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this goes through, it iterates through
will be
In this case, the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have to create our own index, which with the old
No.
var
No.
No.
I equals.
And
No.
there is more efficient way of doing it. Maybe the for each.
This already reads nice. I don't have to mess around with an index, and the code is shorter.
Ah.
So let's just make sure that it runs.
It's basically with the race.
Excuse me?
Yes, for off.
Yeah.
Let off, sorry. Or for off.
So let's rerun this stuff. Yeah, it still runs. Now this is a for loop that.
So now the fun part where you want to render your data, because now we have all the titles.
Let's stick on this for loop, right? We'll use this for loop rather than the other one, and we'll now let's see if we can actually put something into that HTML. So let me see. How did I do that?
Well, we have 3 steps. First, we have to know where we want to put the titles, which I think in the UL, right?
Yeah. So
we
we're going
have to get the UL.
We have an unordered list here, and we are going to add list items to that unordered list. And currently, in the first step, we're only going to use the title. And then, when we've done that, we're going to have lunch, I think. And then we're going to have this, and Ayman will present his solution for the object comparison after lunch.
Okay.
And then we will continue with this. But let's see if we can stuff this title into that HTML. Now, first, in our JavaScript, we need to know where are we going to add this list item. So we're going to use a function here, and we're going to say, I'm going to use const. I'm fond of const. I'm going to call this variable unordered list, so that's just a JavaScript variable. And I'm going to say document get element by ID. And the ID, I know, if I look at the HTML, the ID is movies. So I'm going to use that ID. Now, inside the loop, I'm going to create, through the DOM, through the document object module, I'm going to create a list item. So again, const list item equals document create element, and we're going to create a list item. Yeah. So we now basically have done this. Well, we haven't done it yet. We haven't done it.
Not really. Because
Not really, because we need another statement.
Yeah.
I'm going to say unordered list, append child, list item, and now we have sort of this programmatically.
Yes, that was my question.
But
Yeah?
we haven't wrote any text yet. Like we haven't
Yeah.
written any text.
So now we need to add some text. We only have an empty list item.
Ah.
So we're going to create what's called a text node. So we're going to say const, let's call it title, because that's what it is, right? And we're going to say document dot create, and see how VS Code helps you when you type. Create text node, and we're going to say the text node is the movie.title. Okay, let me just make this a bit okay, like this. The text node is the movie.title, and yet that text node is a child of the list item. So I'm going to say list item dot append child. Now you can see that this is a lot of work just to do something simple,
actually.
and I'm going to remove the console log. So we've now added here the title. Let's say the King's Speech or whatever. And because we're looping, we're doing this for every movie. So I'm going to remove this, and let's see what happens if we run this.
should automatically add.
Yeah, we're adding it dynamically to the HTML. So let's run this and see what happens. There we go.
Can you show us the code again, please?
I thought you had already typed it.
We was concentrating.
Oh, okay.
We could also make or construct the HTML thing via string and append the string to the element.
Well, that's easier way of doing it. That's right.
Sorry?
So instead of all of this work we are doing now, so we can just say ul.inner.html and then equal.
Oh yeah. But
That's easier, but
you could.
but this is the fundamentally
That's better than
traditional way of doing it.
So your idea, we have a listen item, right?
Yeah, but here you can see where the DOM is, and
So
you can see how you can control it and code with it through the document to create text node, for example.
So I think you intended this, right? This?
Well,
like
you
this?
can do that, and you can also just delete the ULI and append child, ul.append child, and then you say ul.inner.html.
Oh yeah.
Not ugly way,
Okay.
but fast.
after the for loop we append HTML.
So I suggest that you do all these experiments at home. When you take this away, you are going to experiment with this and try all kinds of things. See how you can do it differently, because you have something to play with when you go home.
Can you send this file on Slack?
No, because you're going to type it. You're going to type it, and you're going to leave today what we're doing.
You're going to
I'm not going to send anything on Slack.
maybe get more properties.
You lazy bastards.
Maybe in the end I will have some time to.
Yeah. So what? We'll talk again. We'll talk again. So now, when we go for lunch, I want you to think about what else can we do with all this rich information we have about movies.
Yeah, we can sort it. We can call more than not just the title. We can call the language.
Exactly. What, for instance, I give you. You have a couple of examples, but what if we want to see the top 3?
Yeah.
Like in the rating, right? So we have ratings. So we want to have the top 3 listed.
That's a challenge, for you.
Yeah. Or we want to display only certain elements of the information, not all the information, but just the key information, like a title, perhaps a plot or whatever. So we need to do some filtering on the data, or. So we're going to play with that when we've heard Ayman's beautiful recursive solution for objects. We're going to continue with that, and we will also look at some. I think we can add some buttons to this, and then you can just explain the event clicks and whatever. So, for instance, we can have a buttons to show the top 3. So if you click the button, it shows the top 3. We'll have fun.
We'll see. Or maybe you leave it as a homework. We'll talk.
We'll talk. So make sure you have this indeed, have this running before you can grab your lunch.
If the HTTP request cannot load,
Okay, let's see.
resolution requests, should I change the local host?
Can you go to the one?
Choose one. Unexpected identifier. How much did that be?
Okay. Can you go to your code? Something something happened here. There's something missing. There's a T missing.
Child. You see here. So then we have chess.
After that.
Child. And then we have small title. Then child. That's correct.
Yeah, it's.
I have to say.
I also have only dots.
You only have dots.
Number 30.
What happened goes to look at
What's 30?
5.
No. So you have only dots, you say. So you have an unordered list. Then move list item, and you didn't add the text code as a child to the list item. So if you look at the code, this line is list item append child text node.
Oh, because it's on the scope.
Right,
A title.
it's here.
And
I
Yes, I can know that.
in curly phrases.
Line
Second function.
Oh yeah.
27.
Provision
Line 27.
هاي لازم تكون.
So I have the title with the
List
list
item. And how about you?
Is title. Should it be
No, this is.
One
No. The title here is the title object, so the title property from the array. And that starts with uppercase. Because that's what you get back from the JSON. Yeah?
Okay. Maybe title.
Yeah, and here this we can choose. We can choose color X, but this one we can't choose. Because that's the case. Yeah?
Why I get so weird results.
because of property.
So, here. See, you have to say that. This title here we can choose. This we can call it X. This one we can't choose because it's predefined and it's titled with an uppercase T.
Doesn't support this.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So here it has to be exactly.
Exactly as it is in the data that we get from the server.
So we
Yeah.
have
So try this.
And can you refresh?
yeah.
There you go.
And go to the code.
Everybody,
So small.
yeah.
Sure.
Shall we have lunch? Yeah. I need to stop the recording. So let me just get. I'll get back to you.
Text.
So.